These images broadcast on one of our newscasts of yet another attack may have passed as just another one of many news items about a part of Kenya that I feel we sometimes like to pretend does not exist. The old woman with whatever her belongings she could gather strapped to her back, others carrying children driving their livestock, looking for safer ground. Why? Bandit attacks. It's become such a common phrase that it's almost benign. We're now numb to it. After all, we are fed with a very regular drip of stories from this part of Kenya that we hardly pay attention to. Those heartbreaking images are of people fleeing Yatia and Rormuch areas in Baringo North following a bandit attack last week in which 2 children were killed. That's not the only attack. There have been many more. On or about the 26th of February, Honorable Paul Leshimpiro, the member of County Assembly of Angata Nanyekie Ward, was killed reportedly by suspected bandits in the Soitpus area. He was reportedly at the forefront of asking the government to secure the area. On the 24th of February, we reported of the closure of at least 5 primary schools in the area due to bandit attacks. On the 22nd of February, 3 people were shot dead in separate attacks in Baringo North and Marakwet East. On the 16th of February, Amaya Primary School, which is a public school in Samburu West, Loroki Soitpus ECD and Primary School, Ntima Nariko Primary School, and Nasur Primary School, which are at the border of the Baringo and Samburu counties, were all closed due to the attacks in the area. The security forces were not spared either. On the 12th of February, a convoy of security officials was sprayed with bullets, leaving 1 National Police reservist injured. The team, led by the county commissioner, were en route to respond to another attack that had killed a head teacher just days before in Baringo North. By the way, the funeral of this head teacher was again marred by violence when just days later the same bandits attacked his home on the day of his burial. They had to have a full GSU escort for the procession. Now, going back to the 9th of January, members of the same family were killed when bandits struck again at Chamoy Junction in Baringo North constituency. Folks, these so-called bandits are quite daring. In October last year, they attacked a primary school in Kapindasum and held the pupils hostage for a whole day. Can you imagine the horror of those young school children hiding in the bush for hours waiting for rescue? What's worse is the school in Kapindasum had just been reopened last year after being closed since 2019 due to incessant attacks in the area. The school children are not the only ones under siege that day. These brazen bandits also laid siege to a nearby GSU camp, engaging the officers in what was reported to be a fierce gun battle for hours. Now, from the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights fact-finding mission, which was done together with duty bearers from the Samburu area, these are some of the figures they collected. From January 2023 to February this year, 36 dead civilians, 4 dead police officers, 9 police officers injured, 13 bandits killed, the suspects arrested, 19, recovered firearms, 105, livestock stolen, 3,765, recovered livestock, 1,790. The unrecovered livestock are at 1,975. Following these attacks, what happened? The military was deployed. But that was in October last year, and there have been many more attacks in the general area since, as I've alluded to. Nothing seems to faze these bandits. Not a tough-talking CS who flies in and out of the area after there's been an attack, and certainly not even the show of force and might that is characterized by dramatic northward advance by KDF. Those columns of armored personnel carriers, the D-Day-like landings by the military and OP High Command, not even the intimidating formation chopper flights and the supposed on-ground firepower. None of that seems to work. So what is the problem? Is the government so completely helpless from one administration to the next? And who are these so-called faceless, nameless bandits anyway? How come we don't see their faces when they get arrested? How come we don't hear of reports of them being killed in fierce gun battles like we do of common criminals here in Nairobi? Do the security officials, intelligence officers really not know who they are? Instead, what do we see? The same faces. Local area MPs called for questioning by the DCI, only for them to be released, some of them just 10 minutes later. The government of Kenya has continuously failed our fellow Kenyans. Year after year, tough talk after tough talk, from one deployment to another. And it would seem that not even the civilian leaders donning military gear to accompany their tough talk seems to faze these faceless, nameless, unknown bandits. We seem clueless about how to protect our own Kenyans, but we're loudly beating our chests in defiance of court orders, rushing to Haiti to deploy our officers there. Are those Haitians more Kenyan than our brothers and sisters in Baringo, West Pokot, and Samburu? Are they children of a lesser God? Listen, how many of us can even pinpoint Kapindasum, Chemoe Junction, Yatia, Rormuch, Ngaratuko on a map with our eyes closed? Yet we have a government that is hell-bent on rushing to Haiti because they supposedly asked for our help. Guess what? The Kenyans here too have asked for their help. Friends, while I understand that we're part of a global community, charity begins at home. Whilst we rush off to Haiti at breakneck speed, we must equally secure those within our borders first. We must demonstrate, not just with tough talk, but with action, that we are keeping Kenyans safe. It is, after all, these Kenyans to whom the leader of this country swore an oath to protect. And that he must do before we even set foot outside our borders. That is my take tonight.